When you think about soldiers in World War II, you probably picture guns, uniforms and massive battles. But, survival and operational effectiveness often came down to something far smaller and far more overlooked: the ability to repair gear, weapons and equipment on the fly. Supply lines could be delayed, maintenance crews overwhelmed, and broken tools or weapons meant disaster. Yet soldiers developed a simple, ingenious hack that effectively replaced a multi-tool. Sometimes with nothing but scraps, wire and raw ingenuity. This wasn't theory. It was a field-tested, life-saving method that allowed men to maintain operational readiness in the most unforgiving conditions. And, remarkably, the principle behind it is still relevant today for preppers, survivalists and history enthusiasts alike. Let's explore this World War II repair hack, why it works so efficiently and how you can apply it today without relying on modern multi-tools. World War II soldiers often found themselves far from supply depots with damaged rifles, torn uniforms, jammed vehicles or malfunctioning radios. When conventional tools were unavailable, they improvised. The cornerstone of this repair hack was simple. Look at the materials on hand and adapt them into multifunctional tools. A bent bayonet could become a pry bar. Wire from packaging, parachute cords or fencing could become clamps, hinges or temporary fasteners. Even empty tin cans were reshaped into screwdrivers, scrapers or containers. This principle is timeless. In a modern survival scenario, you don't need a Swiss Army knife if you know how to repurpose metal, cordage and wood. A flat piece of metal can be shaped into a wedge or lever. Wire can hold broken gear together, tension a splint, or form a makeshift hook. The key is seeing potential in ordinary objects, a skill honed by soldiers under fire. Wire was the most versatile component in a soldier's improvised toolkit. In the field, it became a universal connector, repair agent, and temporary fastener. Broken rifle sights could be wired back into position, boots could be lashed together, and tents or camouflage nets held tight even in high winds. Soldiers quickly learned that different gauges of wire served different purposes. Thin wire for precision tasks like weapon repairs, thicker wire for structural fixes or tent lines. In practice, today's preppers can replicate this. Keep a small spool of tempered wire in your kit. Learn basic bending, twisting and looping techniques. A few inches of wire can stabilize a tent pole, repair a strap, or even create a trap for small game. World War II soldiers knew that wire was effectively a multi-purpose tool in string form, capable of replacing multiple metal implements when none were available. Another component of this hack was the creative use of friction and tension instead of screws or bolts. When nuts and bolts were stripped, soldiers wrapped wire around broken threads, used leather strips as washers, or applied improvised wedges to maintain pressure. Rifle stocks, vehicle panels, and even radios were held together with this method. The beauty of friction-based repair is that it requires minimal precision tools, often just a knife, wire, and a basic understanding of leverage and tension. For example, a broken backpack buckle or strap can be reinforced using tightly twisted wire and friction loops. A jammed vehicle door panel or toolbox lid can be temporarily stabilized using cordage tensioned across anchor points. Soldiers relied on the principle that if it stays under pressure, it works, even if the fix isn't permanent. This mindset separates resourceful survivalists from those who fail when tools fail. In addition to wire, knives and bayonets were central to improvisation. Soldiers used the flat side of a blade to scrape rust or paint, sharpened edges to cut wood or cordage, and even bent them into temporary prying tools. When combined with wire or leather strips, the same knife could serve multiple repair functions simultaneously. Unlike modern multi-tools, which rely on mechanical components, this approach depended on understanding geometry, leverage, and material behavior. To apply this today, practice seeing your knife or bayonet as more than a cutting instrument. Use it to shape metal, bend components, or wedge gaps in a structure. Learn how to combine it with basic materials, cord, wire, wood, to solve a repair problem without needing an entire tool set. The final principle of this hack is mindset. Soldiers didn't fix things perfectly. They fixed them enough to continue the mission. A rifle that fired reliably but had a loose stock was sufficient. A tent that leaked slightly but held against wind was acceptable. This focus on redundancy, improvisation, and adaptability meant that men could continue operations even in the absence of a full toolkit. For modern enthusiasts, this translates to skill over gear. You don't need a multi-tool with 20 attachments if you understand tension, leverage, and the potential of ordinary materials. By combining a few versatile items, wire, a knife, scraps of metal, and cordage, you replicate what WWII soldiers did every day. The difference is confidence and creativity, not equipment. This forgotten technique is a lesson in self-reliance. Soldiers survived and operated efficiently because they trained to see every object as a tool, every wire as a solution, and every tensioned loop as a fastener. They didn't wait for perfect equipment. They improvised with what they had, often under extreme pressure. By mastering wire work, friction-based repairs, and multi-use blades, you can replicate the same principles today. Whether repairing gear in the wilderness, stabilizing urban survival tools, or improvising during emergencies, this WWII hack replaces the multi-tool with skill, knowledge, and adaptability. If this deep dive into WWII's ingenious repair methods sharpened your understanding of field survival and historical ingenuity, make sure to subscribe to Echoes of Valor and share this episode with fellow history and survival enthusiasts. Because sometimes the best tool isn't carried, it's learned.